Yes, yes. Okay. So like I mentioned, I help small business owners really take the business that they already love. So they're established business owners and make it better than ever. My brand is better than ever. And one thing I know is that if you want things to be better than ever, like then you have to make everything better than ever, all the components that go into being successful. You have to elevate each one of those. I want to show you just one slide to give you a sense of where we are in the process. Can you all see this? Better than ever wheel? Okay. So this is the flow that I take my clients through. I call it my blueprint. I'm very mechanic-y. I love the idea of a blueprint. So this is when I work with a client or a group, this is what we go through. So we start, and I want to show you where we are in this so you get a sense of, you know, are you taking care of all the other components? So we typically start with vision. You know, what's the impact that you want to have? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to succeed? So getting really clear on your vision. We then move into strategy. And strategy is simply all of the decisions and the choices that you make in order to make your vision come true. So they're like the big choices, and we're going to talk about some of those today. And the smaller day-to-day choices, like how you're spending your time, what you're saying yes to, what you're saying no to. That kind of thing. So the strategy ideally wants to support your vision, right? That's the point of your strategy. And strategy is where I spend a lot of time with my clients because there's so much in there. There's so much area, so much room to get it really right and to get it really wrong. So we focus a lot on strategy, and that's where goal setting is. That's we're in the goal, the strategy, you know, piece of the pie here. The next thing we focus on is plans. So you want your action steps to support your strategy, which is supporting your vision. And then implementation, that's what you're doing every single day. So that's taking your plan and working your plan. And then celebration. So it's celebrating along the way, not just the big things like the big, I got to cross the finish line things, but the smaller things too. Like, hey, I made that difficult phone call, or I sent that difficult email, or I got 5 more people on my newsletter list. Smaller things want to be celebrated too, because that really helps with a growth mindset. And you can see this entire circle it's really kind of hugged by mindset, constantly nurturing a growth mindset, and also accountability, staying true to the vision that you have for you and your business. So this is my overall flow. This area, strategy, is where we're going to be playing today as we talk about goal setting. Okay, any questions about this before I move on? Okay, if you have questions, I'm going to stop sharing here because I want to be able to see everybody. So I'd like this to be interactive. So if you have questions or comments along the way, either raise your hand or put it in the chat. Belinda, can you help keep an eye on the chat so I don't miss anything? And I'm also going to ask you I might ask you to share. So if I do, please come up and meet me, right? Don't be total crickets here. We're going to get a lot more out of it if we're sharing and we're interacting together.
Lisa, can I ask you, this is Padma, I'm a new member here.
Yeah.
What are you using to produce those PowerPoint, those slides? What software are you using? That's really nice.
That's Keynote.
Okay, thanks.
I'm on a Mac, so.
Oh, okay, got it.
I use Keynote. I will tell you that image itself was created by Kim Barron, who is, she has an office in Haven. She's a very talented graphic designer. So if you are looking for someone to help you create the images themselves, I didn't do that image. Kim created that. Wow. And that's why I can say it's so beautiful, because I'm not bragging about myself. I'm bragging about Kim's beautiful work. So, so seek her out the next time you're in Haven space.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So let's have a quick show of hands. Who's got goals that you want to work on this year? Do you have goals already? Yeah. This is such a fun time of year, I think. I love talking about goal setting because it's really an opportunity to say, this is what's going to go down this year. Like, this is what I'm going to make happen. And it's an opportunity to really generate some excitement about it and know, like, yeah, this is how I'm going to be this year. This is how my business is going to be. And no matter what you want to accomplish, like I'm sure we all have different goals. I think it's really helpful to have a process. So what I'm going to share with you today are some highlights on, highlights of the process that I use myself and then I take my clients through so that you can, kind of dive into that. You're going to have enough information that you can start to do that yourself over and over and over again. Okay. So I like to start with what how we're challenged as business owners. So the big challenge I see especially with my clients is like, we have so much that we have to do, right? As small business owners, even if you have help, even if you have a team, like everything winds up coming back to you, everything. And it can be very hard, especially as a small business owner, to stand in your CEO boss role. Sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, let me take care of this. Let me take care of this. Let me take care of this. It's easy to get to the end of the day and think, well, what the heck happened? Like, I was really busy, but what did I accomplish? So making sure that you're clear on your goals and prioritizing those helps you actually accomplish things, not just spend time doing things. And I want to kind of, I'm going to dive into the goal setting. So the goal setting is, it's the first piece of the puzzle. It is the place that people tend to like to skimp because we need to dive into the action, right? Like, action is fun, right? Isn't it more fun to like jump in and do? And what I would recommend, and the invitation, is to actually pause and spend time, invest some time in deciding what you're going to do, picking the destination, and spending more time on this than you typically might. Like I said, this is where people tend to go through really quickly. And maybe it's because you are taking your goals from last year and just kind of revamping them and maybe making them a little bit bigger. And they might be the right goals for you this year, but they might not be. So it's an opportunity to kind of review that and see if you're in the right place. And it's also a time to really think of it as picking your destination. So I have a friend who was in the Coast Guard, and he told me this story about what they learned in school. One of the things that they would hear stories about is ship captains who wouldn't get the navigation completely right from the beginning. And as a result, their ship would wind up in the wrong place. And I thought, well, that's embarrassing, right? Like, you've got this whole ship, you've got a bunch of people on the ship, a bunch of stuff on the ship, and you've taken it to the wrong place because they didn't get it right from the beginning. So it's the same thing for us. If we are not clear on our destination, if we're not clear on where we want to take our own personal ship, we're going to wind up somewhere, but it might not be the right place for us. So it's getting really clear on like, okay, what's the somewhere? Where do I want to go? Where am I navigating my ship to? Right? Okay. So does that make sense? Yeah. So this effort really, really pays off, because then you have the confidence to know that, like, okay, what I'm doing is going to take me to where I want to go. So I'm really curious to hear if people have goal ideas that they're working on right now, and if you'd like to share some of those. I'll look in the chat real quick. Yep, Ani.
Hi, thank you so much, Lisa. I love the graphic. I think it's fantastic. And, it's interesting to set the goals and then know what you want. So I'm finding it a little bit of a balancing act to express what I do and then get to the heart of what I do and do it. You said the actual items are the ones that are the most fun, but oftentimes, explaining and educating people about the process of jewelry design per se, they get, they love it. And then they just want to learn more and more and more and self-educate. And while I want to educate everybody, the end goal is to actually produce something. And so oftentimes people, and I give my time away for free, which is a big no-no. So I think my goal here is to formulate a system where I don't seem so crass and cold, but yet get to the heart of the meat of what it is that I feel is very important, which is co-collaborative creation without too much time taking away, and delivering unique work that is valued, that can be kept and worn as legacy. So getting all of that done, into a short time frame has always been kind of a challenge for me, because you have to have good systems, but yet you have to invest time in the human in front of you to get to what really is important to them.
So it sounds like you have an opportunity to really lay out how you want to work with your client. And that's a repeatable way, and set up the structure that not only helps you, but it also tells them, it kind of is reassuring to them, like, this is how I work. I'm going to take you through my process. At the end of it, you're going to wind up with this beautiful legacy piece of jewelry that you're going to be very happy with. So it's also a nice way to reassure them as well. And then the opportunity is also to make sure it's something that you want to keep repeating. Like, it feels like a good use of your time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the part where, embellishments, require time investment. And I think people don't people not in the industry don't know that. So just, being very specific about different elements in design, which require time. And but I think people, once they get it, they're receptive,
Yeah.
I think
so the big opportunity is to, set the stage up front. Like, this is how it's going to go. This is, we're going on this trip, and we're going to wind up with this beautiful pendant. And here's how this works.
Right.
And then, fine tuning it as you need to, but creating a repeatable journey process, right?
Exactly.
Is really what it is. And, stepping into the leadership as the expert who does this, you are the expert, you're taking them on the journey.
Right. There's also a huge capital outlay too. So it's hard to make that commitment, because it's not something that, can be readily returned once it's made, so, and it's precious metals are expensive. So it's an interesting thing to try to systematize.
Yeah, and I can clearly see how you can do that, right? I mean, you can set that up in a way that the structure feels really, really good, and then you and your client get to play within the structure, right? Like, you can, what the boundaries are. It's like, okay, now we just get to play. Like, we don't have to figure out. I don't have to come back and tell you. And I think that this is a really good example, probably for a lot of us. Nobody else on here, I believe, is a jewelry designer, but you can think of it as, what's the structure of the journey I take my clients on, right? Do I have a solid structure that makes me feel like, okay, I feel good, and saying, like, this is how I work. This is how it goes. Here's the expectation I have of you. And here's how we're going to get to where we want to go together, right? So whatever your business is, that's the opportunity. And I would say that's a really great example of a great goal to have. And it is a nice segue for me to talk about, what is a goal? A goal is really, it's something that's along that scale, right? It's kind of big and overarching. So I talked about when I work with clients on strategy, we're talking about decisions and choices that you're making. And some of them are big, and goals are the big ones, right? You're not picking a new goal every single day. Maybe you have these little micro goals like, okay, I'm going to get this done today, or I'm going to get that done. But when you think about something bigger, the process that you work with with your clients, building out your team, if you need to expand your team, maybe creating a new program or a new offer or a new product. That's the scale that we're talking about when we talk about goals. Goals require you to also figure out, okay, what are all the tasks and the steps I need to do in order for this goal to happen? And we're not talking about those today. We're really just focused on the goal setting. We are picking the destination. So like in Anie's example, the destination is having a repeatable, authentic, effective, joyful process that she can take her clients through over and over again so that her business runs smoothly, her clients wind up with this beautiful piece of artwork that they're going to be happy to have so that it works beautifully for everybody. So that's an example of a goal. Okay, it's focusing on, here's a really easy example. All we're doing today is saying, I'm going to go to Italy. That's all we're doing. We're just focusing on the destination. Okay, so you don't have to fret about the other things. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more. And when you think about your goals, since we're talking about big, beautiful things, it's nice to think about, okay, it's nice to feel into the goal, so if you're talking about something that is really going to have a huge benefit for your clients and help you run your business better, how does that feel? Like, do you get excited about that? Do you feel a little nervous about it? Maybe you feel a little scared about it or a little apprehensive. Those are great emotions to feel when you think about your goal. If you don't have any response at all, if you think, yeah, I guess I could do that. That'd be fine. That's a great indicator that you're not connected to something that is really going to have the impact that you want to have and move the needle forward, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, you want to feel excited about it. You want to feel energetic about it. You don't want to feel like, I guess I'm going to do that. And it's also important to stay true to what your definition of success is. So one of the, I guess, downsides, I'm going to say, of social media is that everybody looks like they're doing really, really great all the time. And it's easy to look at those people and say like, oh, wow, she's knocking it out of the park. I should do what she's doing. Oh, she's offering this program. Oh, she's doing this, she's doing that. I should do that too. I'm using the word should a lot, and the word should never come into play when we talk about goals. Should is a terrible word because it kind of kills the spirit. It's not that you should do something. Like, you want to love to do it. You want to be excited. You want it to be like, yes, this is what I'm going to do. So the only way I'm going to use should in this context is to say, you should be really excited about what you're focused on. And you want it to fit your definition of success. So what do you want to make happen this year? What would be the game changer that you're looking for? How does it align with your values? Right? So starting to bring in the values that you have for yourself, the values you have for your business, so that you know that you're aligned with the goals that you're talking about. So for example, if you have a value of like teaching or education, maybe you do want to create an online course or some other kind of educational component so that you can share your love of teaching others how to do something. Or if you have a value of connection and community, maybe you're creating different events that people can show up to. You can see a huge value of community and connection for those of you who are Haven members. You can see a huge value of community and connection there, right? So that's a great example of like, okay, the goals are, what are the events that we can do that will bring people together? Or if you have a value of like living with ease, maybe it's making sure that you're balancing how much energy you give to the work that you do with how much energy you give to your personal life. right? So there's an opportunity to really call in your values here to help you craft the goal that you want to craft. So that is, you know, kind of the definition and the components of a goal. I want to start talking about more, you know, the things that you want to do as you're thinking about setting your goals. So the first one is actually something I don't want you to do. And that is ask yourself how you're going to make your goal happen. I'll remind you that we're just talking about goal setting. We're just picking the destination. We're not diving into figuring it out, how to make it happen. We're not diving into any of the doing. We're just focused on what is it I want to do. Right now, we're focused on the what, because when we ask ourselves how, everything goes sideways. How is like the asking yourself how you're going to do something is a really great way to destroy a beautiful goal, because if you don't know how to do your goal, you feel uncomfortable, right? And humans, we do not like discomfort. We really don't like that. So you might have this big, beautiful idea, and then you're like, well, I do not know how I'm going to do this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to take away the parts that I have no clue about, you know, and I will kind of compact it down, and maybe you take away some other things, and you wind up making this much smaller goal that you can hold in your hand. And now you can say, oh, all right, I can see exactly how I'm going to do this from start to finish. I know how to do all of these things. And the problem with that is it's not going to take you as far as the goal with the unknown components would have taken you. It's not going to stretch you. You're not going to learn anything new. It's not going to move the needle or have the impact. It's just going to give you the same results that you've had over and over, because it's probably something you've been doing over and over. So you want to be comfortable with some of the mystery of, okay, I know I want to do this, and I don't really know how I'm going to do that, but that's okay. I don't have to worry about it right now. Everything is figure outable. I'll be able to get to it. Okay. And I will also remind you, there's so many people on this planet, like whatever you want to do, there's probably somebody who can help you. So you probably don't even need to figure it all out yourself. You can hire someone, you can ask for help from a friend, you can do some online, you know, research or something. And you're not going to even think about that right now. You're just going to focus on what is it I want to do. And that will allow you to dream bigger. I did this as a group workshop. I've done this as a group workshop a lot, but years ago, one of the first times I did it, there was a guy in the, one of the attendees was a guy who said, I actually can't think of a single big thing that I want to do. And I said, really? You know, that's so interesting. You can't think of a single thing. And he said, yeah, I got nothing. And I'm like, all right. And so I asked him a bunch of questions, and he said, well, I mean, I have this idea, but it's impossible. So, you know, I'm not even going to write it down. And the idea was he wanted to go to grad school in a different state. And the thought of making that happen felt so daunting that he wouldn't even consider it. I was like, oh, what a fantastic example of taking something you really want to do and then immediately dismissing it because you don't know what to do. You don't know how to do it. So instead, stay true to that little bit of discomfort and mystery, and trust that you are going to figure it out and you can make it happen. And I'm going to tell you some more stuff that's going to help with that. So I want to touch base and see, you know, kind of check in with you guys. What's making sense here? What's sounding like something that's been helpful, or any questions that you have? Teresa, and then Trudy.
Lisa, I think what's specifically helpful for me is that, just like that person that, you know, was kind of paralyzed by going to college in another state, often you have a goal and then you're like, there's no way I can do that. And you immediately discount it. Whereas I think what you're saying this morning is to disseminate the two, just have the goal and then you can work out how to get there, but keep the goal, don't discount it. And that's really valuable to me. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it is really important. And also it can be challenging to do. So, just give yourself whatever cheering you need to be able to do that. Trudy.
Well, along
And then-
those same lines, you were suggesting to pick those goals that you get excited about and that, that inspire you. But there is part of me where some of these goals are just so daunting that it's hard for me to get excited about it because I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? So there's and that's kind of when I know, like, okay, that's the goal you should be working on.
Absolutely. And I'm going to share some more techniques to be able to feel more comfortable to stay with that goal. Right. So I'm going to give you more on that. And yes, I love how you said, oh, this is a really good indication. This is a goal that wants to be worked on, right? Like it got your emotions. It's inside you. It's moving around.
And
yeah.
I have a little also, I wouldn't say this is a conflict, but so Ben and I are partners in the photography practice, and we have our common goals, but then we have goals that are really important to Ben, and then we have goals that are really important to me. And so, but I know that the goals that are really important to Ben are ultimately ones that I want to achieve as well. But really, to get those goals going, I'm the one that's going to have to do it.
Okay.
So.
All right. So that speaks to an opportunity to, talk about what your process is and what your implementation process is and see if anything wants to be changed there. Right. So
Right.
That's a whole other conversation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Scarlett, I think you had your hand up.
I did, and then Trudy pretty much touched upon it. I'm trying to think of a goal that I want to do, and there's one that I think would be a good thing for me to do, but I'm like, do I really want to do the work?
Okay, so stay tuned. Let's go through some more of the other things, because that's going to help everybody really kind of validate that this is the right goal or that it's not. Okay, so it's going to give you that opportunity. And I'll tell you, I've done this workshop, and I've had people go through the entire, like we've gone through the process A to Z, and they've come out the other side and they're like, darn it, I really thought this was my goal. And this is not my goal because I don't want to do the work. I don't want the results. I just thought it sounded really, really great. But now that I've examined it, it's not. And now what do I do? And I'm like, this is fantastic. Like, you haven't wasted any time. You can focus on something else. Like, how great that you figured this out. This is why we do all this work ahead of time, right? So you don't go running down a pathway and you get partway down, or you get all the way there and you're like, yeah, that wasn't it. Right? Big waste of time and energy and money. So I'm going to give you more tools so that you don't, scamper down there and go, darn it. We want to avoid the darn it. So if we're not thinking right now, because we're not thinking about how to do something, what you really want to focus on, and this is super valuable, is why you want to do what you say you want to do. This is the great litmus test. It's going to do a few things for you. When you ask yourself, okay, why is this goal important? Why do I want to achieve it? Why do I want to have this impact? Why am I the one to do it? You start to generate responses to those questions, and those responses either help fuel your drive to do it. They help really get you excited, and you're like, okay, yes, I want to do this. And it's going to be a lot of work, I'm sure. And it's going to be worth it. Or it helps you recognize, yeah, this might not be it. This is a great place to validate. If you cannot generate a lot of reasons why you want to do a certain thing, it's a great indicator that the goal you have in mind is not your goal, or maybe it's not your goal right now. Maybe it's better for another time. But it gives you the opportunity to really examine and validate. So sometimes when I do this process with clients, we're not coming up with a new goal idea, we're validating one that they have. So we're kind of examining it from all sides and saying, yes, okay, this makes sense, time to move forward on it. Or, yeah, this isn't right. I thought it was, it's not, I'm going to set it aside. And this is a really great place for your values to come into play. So the more you can attach, the more you can be connected to why you want to do this and have it connected to a lot of your values, then it really creates a strong tether to you. And once you are tethered to this goal, everything's easier. Even if it's hard to make your goal happen, it's going to be easier because you are going to, really do whatever you need to do to make it happen, right? If you're so fired up because you have internally connected with it and you're like, yeah, you're going to make it happen. You're going to make it happen. But if you don't have that fire within you, this goal is going to languish and it's going to waste your time. And, you don't have time to waste. So this is an important step. So Scarlett, in what you were starting to say, what I would, ask yourself, well, why do I want to do this? And if you get excited by the responses you come up with, I'd encourage you to consider that goal, because it'll be worth the work. There's this great quote by Chelsea Dinsmore. You may have heard me say this before, but I want to, it's so perfect. It's when you question not what you can do, but why it's important, the how reveals itself. So when you're very clear on your why, you figure it out. If you're not clear on your why, you get stuck, right? And you might spin your wheels on something that's a waste of your time. I think that this is also a good opportunity to figure out why, answer the question, why am I going to be successful? So the typical goal setting arc, which we're trying to get away from here, is figuring out what you want to do and how you're going to do it. And that feels really uncomfortable. And you ask yourself, well, what do I need? What do I need to make this happen? I prefer to start with, what have I got that's going to make me successful? So creating this, taking stock of what you have available to you already. What do you know about yourself, your training, your education? What are you passionate about? What resources can you, tap into right now? Is it other people who can help you? Is it some education? Is it physical equipment that you need, that you have? So it's a nice way to reassure yourself, hey, I'm not starting from ground zero here. I've got so much that's going to make me successful. Okay, so it's a way to feel better, and also to remind yourself, okay, I'm going to need these things and I have them. And then at a later time, you can say, okay, what gaps do I need to fill here? I am connected to these 3 people and they're going to really be able to help me. But I think I also need, a bookkeeper, or I need some training on this, so then as you start to identify the gaps, it doesn't feel so scary, because it doesn't feel like one big gap, like one big gaping hole of, I need to figure this all out. Does that feel reassuring in some way? I'm hoping that it does. Okay, good. Any questions? What's in the chat? We chitter chat.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you that some people have posted their goals, which is exciting.
Oh,
And Jennifer said, "Be comfortable with the mystery. Love this."
yeah.
That's hard to do, but somebody that I follow, Mike Dooley, he says he calls them the cursed house. The cursed house. Don't get stuck in the cursed house.
Yeah. There's a lot of the more willing you are to be uncomfortable and to be to dance in the unknown, the greater your opportunity for success, the greater for opportunity for growth, for personal growth, to create new things, right? The more that you want to stay in your specific lane and focusing on what you already know how to do and what you've already done, you're going to just keep chugging along and coasting along at your current level. But if you're like, what, I'm going to see what's behind that other door, possibility and opportunity opens up. Okay, so Diane says, utilizing all the assets I have already is a goal of mine for 2022. Great. Barbara.
Yeah, I think actually that's just the opposite of what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've been the sort of person that always felt like I needed more to be successful. I needed more products, more services. I definitely need more people, but and I love product creation and I love packaging services together and thinking about how I will market them. But I have a lot of things that I've never actually utilized to the max. So this year, my goal is, instead of creating new stuff, which is fun and exciting and mysterious, I want to look at all that I have and figure out how, out of all those assets, what's the direction and what audience does that cater to the most? And then go directly to them, which would hopefully enable me to grow my audience.
So, I mean, that's creating a new thing right then and there. You know, it's not creating a new, you know, thing that you offer, but it's creating a new process for you, a new understanding for you. So absolutely. So to me, it doesn't sound like, well, I'm just going to do the same stuff I'm doing over and over again. You're saying like, hey, I've got stuff that I'm not tapping into. I've got unused resources. I'm going to use those to help grow my business. So it's not a standing still. It's, you know, and I want to be clear, like when we talk about goals, your goal does not have to be, I'm going to create a new thing that I then offer to other people. Not at all. You know, your goal can be, I'm going to figure out how to make changes in my business so that I'm not working 70 hours a week. You know, like I would like to get down to 50. You know, I'd like to get, I have a client who she takes off 12 weeks a year, you know, and she had to work up to that, but she takes off 12 weeks every single year, you know, and she plans it out ahead of time. So that could be a goal too. Like, I want to have more time for myself. How do I make changes with how I run my business or how I show up for my business so that I can do that? So that can be a beautiful goal as well. Okay. So keep posting your goals in there. I really appreciate that. Okay, get comfortable with social media. Great. Oh, Pam, I blew your mind. I love it. Yeah, bringing in your values. Yes, and I love how you say it makes me want to achieve them even more. Absolutely, because then you can recognize the goal as something that's connected to you, right? You're like, oh, I have this recognition. You are a part of me. You know, it's like when you're traveling and you're in a foreign country and you don't speak the language very well, and suddenly you hear someone speaking in English and you're like, hey, you know, it's kind of like that, like, hey, I recognize you. Let's speak in English a little bit. So it's that kind of thing. Okay. All right. The next thing that you want to do, so you've identified a goal, you have allowed yourself to not worry about how you're going to do it. You know, that's coming down the road. You've really connected with why you want to do it. So you've validated like, yep, this is it. Now it's time to give some stuff up. And I don't mean give up part of your goal. So I talked a few minutes ago about like, you know, when we have this big goal that's scary, we try to get parts of it out, the parts that feel uncomfortable. So we feel a little bit better about that. And that's not what I mean at all. What I mean is making sure that your priorities are firmly set. And I would say one of the biggest things I do with my clients is help them not only set their priorities, but then work their priorities, right? So this is a place where entrepreneurs and small business owners can get really tripped up because we have so many things that we want to do, that want to be done. So sometimes it's hard to prioritize. If you have a million things, how do you get it down to the 3 to 5 things you really should be focused on? So what it is making sure that anything, you know, any kind of activity or, you know, way that you spend your time or your money and your energy, if it doesn't support this goal, then you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be spending your resources, right? Because it only takes away from what you say is your priority. So it's a really nice way to make sure that you're putting your money where your mouth is, right? Like I said, I was going to do this. But if in reality, you start going over here and like, oh, well, let me just do this real quick, or, you know, oh, this looks like a fun course. I'm going to sign up for this. You're pulling your attention and everything about you away from your goal. So you want to give up the other things, or at least set them aside for a while. Either set them aside, delegate them, hire someone to handle them. And you can hire for lots of different things. So when I had a dog, I hired a dog walker. Even though I worked from home and I was with my dog, I hired a dog walker because I had some days that were so busy. I didn't want to pull, my attention away from my workflow. So I hired someone to come in and take my dog for a walk. Okay. So that's a small example. It's a cheap example, but it's a way that I could stay in the flow so that I could create what I needed to create on those days. You can, hire people to do your bookkeeping. You can hire people to do your social media, places where, you might not be that great at doing those things and you might not like to do them, and yet they still need to be done. Hire for that, right? That's a great place to hire, because that's not a good use of, if you're not good at it, if you don't love it, if it's not your business already, it's not a good use of your time.
Hey, Lisa, I think there's an important comment in the chat from Barbara.
Okay. So Barbara says, so we shouldn't have multiple goals. I usually set 2 or 3 personal and 2 to 3 family and 2 to 3 business goals each year. Yeah, so great question, Barbara. It's not that we shouldn't have multiple goals. It's that we should be more discerning on what our goals are. So when I do this exercise with clients, typically, I say, what are the 25 things you want to accomplish this year? And then I say, okay, you get to work on 5 at a time. And then once you've accomplished those, then you get to work on the next things, because I want, one of the things that we love to do as humans is like do a lot and spread ourselves too thinly. And when you take your energy and you put it in 17 different places at one time, nothing gets done well. And you're not moving any one needle very well. You might be moving it a little bit, but you're not having a big impact. So you've got 2 or 3 personal goals, 2 or 3 family goals, and 2 or 3 business goals. I think that's a nice number. We're talking about a small number of goals at any one time. So it's not that you should only focus on one thing. And, just only do that until you're done. It's really being discerning on what are the priorities and letting the other things go. And also, what I also love about your comment is it really speaks to the fact that, we are business owners. We are also human beings. So we've got all of this stuff, all of these components of ourselves, and they all want to be honored, right? So of course you want to have personal goals. And if you have a family, have family goals, and financial goals and goals for your business. The point is to keep each set of goals to a small 2 to 3 at a time, so that you are giving each one of those all the love and attention and energy that they need, so you actually make them happen. Right, where did Barbara go? Oh, there she is. Okay, Barbara, does that answer your question? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't unmute for some reason, but finally did it. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Good to see everyone. Yeah, that answers my question. I was sort of feeling like maybe I just had too many, even though I feel like they're pretty manageable. Mm-hmm. But like one of my goals a few years back was to add more balance to my life, because my business was just so overwhelming. So that's when I started to structure the personal, and then realized personal was all about me. So I needed a family one too. Mm-hmm. And then there's still business as it goes on. And I don't know if you saw like my earlier comment, but one of my next goals is really to create some kind of exit strategy for my business, because I'm getting old and I can't do this forever. And, business has been amazing. Like, I can't even believe last year, out of 38 years in business, last year was my best year ever. And now it's looking like 2022 is starting off even better than last year. So I don't know what's going on. And I'm glad. I mean, it's all good, but it's like now I need to get help and get somebody that wants to take over, because I've built up this amazing business and my kids don't want any part of it. And I mean, I would love to hand it down to my boys, but like, that's just not happening.
Right. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's big, big, big news. And I think that the pandemic has been a nice reset time for a lot of us and allowed us to really have better years than we've had before. Like I can say the same thing. My business has grown a lot in the past couple of years. And I know other people on this call can say the same thing. And I love that you are you're thinking now like, okay, this is a beautiful goal to have. How am I going to structure things or create things or put whatever I need to into place so that I can pass this along? You've got this beautiful baby that you've nurtured. It's time for somebody else to take it. And how are you going to sell that? So, and what's great about a big goal like that is, first of all, this is going to go on for a while, right? This is not, unless, you meet somebody next week who says, I want this, I'm going to give you, exactly how much money you want for it. And you feel ready to go, there's a lot of sub goals in here. So it's, understanding, what do I need to do? What else needs to be in place? What other structure needs to be in place so that this is sellable? How do I find a potential buyer? How do I get myself emotionally ready to do this? How do I determine when I'm going to do it? And there's even more. So I love that goal. And because it has so many sub goals, it's going to help move you along. Right. So good for you. Good for you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Keep us posted. Okay. All right. So the other thing I want to suggest that you do with your goals is be really clear on the possible outcomes and possible impacts and have a range of those. So when you think about a goal, there's a bare minimum that makes it feel successful for you, right? And maybe that's a good outcome. Like if I can achieve this, that's going to be good. But what about what would be better? Right? So this would be good, but like this would be better. So what would be a better goal? So getting really specific on that, or what would be a better outcome, not a better goal. But once I achieve this goal, what would be an even better outcome? And what would be the best outcome? What if I could dream up any kind of outcome that I'm going to get from this? So it could be, it's easy to think of it if you are doing a goal that has some specific numbers on it. So let's say you're getting ready to launch a podcast and you know that you want to have 12 episodes in your first season. So maybe a good outcome is you get the first 4 episodes recorded and ready to be uploaded to the streaming platform. And maybe a better outcome is you get 8 of those done and ready to go. And maybe the best is you get all 12 ready to go before you even launch. And you start to think about, okay, what are my topics going to be for next season? So you can think of it that way. It could be the same if it's less like numbers based, metrics based. So if you want to hire somebody, maybe a good outcome is I find the right person who I really connect with. She's enthusiastic about my business. And I need to train her, and that's fine. I've hired the right person, and then I'm going to train her. Maybe a better outcome is I found the right person. She already has lots of experience in the type of business I do, so she can hit the ground running. And maybe the best outcome is I've hired somebody who has already been doing this and like no longer wants to run her own business, and she can just she just needs a little bit of, cultural awareness and understanding how I like to show up, and then she can hit the ground running. So does that make sense on how you can get a good, better, and best? It's a nice way to push yourself a little bit too. Like, I'd be happy with this. Yeah, but this might be even better. And wow, I would love this. It gives you a little more spark to go for something even bigger and better. Okay, so I want to answer any other questions. I'm going to get some more input from you. But first, I want to offer you something that I've created. Now that you're all excited to work on your goals, and also maybe feeling like, how am I going to make this happen? I've got this really fun new sheet that I've created. It's called the Better Than Ever Fast Focus Sheet, and it's designed to help you stay really focused. It's a daily sheet, and you lay out your priorities for the day so you can stay on track working towards the goals that you want to work towards. It's a really nice way to be sure that the action that you're taking is supporting, your plan and supporting your vision so that okay, I'm going to get to this place. So I want to offer that up to all of you if you don't have it already. And you'll also be on my mailing list for Better Every Week, which is my short and sweet email that goes out typically once a week, sometimes less frequently. But it's stories and strategies that I share on ways that you can make you and your business be better than ever. So the easiest way, if you would like these two things, type yes and your email address in the chat, and I'll just capture the chat and make sure that you get a copy. And along with the fast focus sheet, there's a video as well that talks about how I use it and how you can make the best use of it. So there's a little instruction in there too. Okay, so hopefully you'll find that helpful. So we're a little bit after 1. What I want to do is let's go back into the chat. Oops, that's the share screen. Let's go into the chat. All right, let me close that. Okay. Yes. Okay, I'm going to send this to everybody. Awesome. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have in here. Are there any questions that maybe are kind of lingering, or anything that came up from anything that I said that makes you think, I'm not sure about that, or any comments? Does anybody feel like a little more empowered now to tackle something that might be a little scary?
Yeah, I think when you asked or suggested, why do you want to do this goal? And I started to write down why I want to do it. I got really excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's just do it, Trudy.
Just do it, Trudy.
Let's do it. Get on board.
I love that.
I realized I don't really want to do it. So fine, done.
Perfect. That is just as great of an outcome as I'm all excited to do this, right? They're equally great, because now you're not going to waste your time, right?
There are plenty of things one can find to do. So, but questioning whether or not how you feel, like, when you're clear on the why, the how will come. But when I'm clear on whether, when I ask the questions about, if it's, is it worth doing, then it was very easy. It was like so fast. Like, no, I don't know. I'm not going to make up a goal. There you go.
Yeah. Don't make up a goal for a goal's sake. Because wherever you are in your process, like, today is January 20th, you might be elbow deep in goals that are so important to you right now that it doesn't make any sense to choose something new. I'm really glad you said that, Scarlett, because I want to make this point. The purpose is not for you to now drop what you're doing and come up with a new goal. The purpose is for you to, if you're thinking about a new goal, take it through this process and kind of validate it. If you have the time and space for a new goal and you've got some ideas already, use this to help you determine what you do next. It's not that everybody has to drop what they're doing and try something new. Because you have plenty to do, right? So it's a way to be more discerning about where you place your precious resources.
Well, and actually that is what makes it somewhat intimidating, because I have so many other goals that I'm working on that are just ongoing. Mm-hmm. And they're not the big, there's not that big goal that we've been talking about doing, but, trying to fit that into the day-to-day, which are all goals.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's an opportunity to check your prioritization and be a little brutal with it. And say, like, okay, does any of this want to be set aside for now? Does any of this want to be done by somebody else?
Well, I think when you said, I made a note here, question mark, should we hire someone to do our social media? I love doing the social media. It's fun, but it takes a lot of time. And so is that a really good use of my time?
Yeah, great question. Great question. I've hired someone to do my social media because A, I don't love figuring out what I'm supposed to be doing. I love the interaction, but I don't love the figuring it out. And 2, it doesn't get done as quickly because then I'm like tripping over myself, right?
Yeah.
And it's,
Right.
I don't run a social media business, right? I want to have my time free to like talk to other business owners. So
Right.
it's a great question to ask yourself. Do I have enough time? Do I have all the time and energy that I want to do the thing that I do? And if I don't, something's got to give. Otherwise, you're in the business of running your business and maybe not growing your business. And not just you, but like, you know, all of us.
Yeah, I haven't posted in 3 weeks and it's been so freeing, actually.
There, hey.
I'm a little worried, but it's like, I don't know. It's like the beginning of the year. I don't have time.
There you go. Great. So I think you answered your question. Like if you want to keep doing social media, have somebody else do it. Just hire somebody.
So,
Lots
yeah,
of people who can do it
yeah,
and who love to do it and will do it easily.
yeah,
right?
and I'm sure much better.
Maybe.
So if anyone has any ideas of someone who could do our social media, I'm open for suggestions.
Okay. Yeah. Post in the chat if you've got good people. Barbara, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment about the social media because for so many years I fought myself with like, you're supposed to be on social media. You have to have a page. You have to do this. You have to meet people with LinkedIn and blah, blah, blah. And it's so irrelevant to my industry.
Ah,
And I finally like let it go. Like I just let it go for the last year. And like I said, last year was my best year ever. And I haven't posted anything. I mean, if my customers reach out to me and I want to send them some pictures of some great branding we just did, I just send them a link to some pictures. But I was like wasting my time and my money and stressing out about what to post and who should post it. And like, I finally just let it go. And I'm like, oh, it's such a huge weight. So like, just reconsider if you really need. That's all I'm trying to say. Is like, you might not really need it in your business. Not everybody does.
Right.
So
yeah. And that really goes back to what we were talking about before is like, stay true to what's true for you. Don't look and say like, well, everybody else is doing it. I need to be doing it. That might not be true, you know, and you might be sort of kind of, one might be kind of reacting as opposed to having a thoughtful response. Like, do I really need to do this? I spoke with somebody this week, a potential client who said, I hate writing. And, but I insist on doing my newsletter because everybody says that I should be doing a newsletter and I really hate it. And I was like, if you do nothing else, even if you don't hire me, if we never work together, please stop writing your own newsletter because it's going to come through, right? The fact that you hate doing it and it's hard for you to do it, all of that energy is going to come out and people are going to see that and they're not going to respond to your newsletter. And then you're going to get even more frustrated. If that's part of your marketing process, if that makes sense for you, find somebody else to do it. You know, there are people who love doing it and they'll do it easily and then you'll have it done consistently. And won't that feel great? Yeah.
I just wanted to add on to what Barbara was saying with regards to social media. And, you know, 100 years ago, when we all started our businesses, each platform had a different vibe. And now 10-ish plus years later, Twitter's 2022 is not Twitter 19 whatever, right ever. And so, you know, check not only the platforms, check where your customers are. Your customers that were on Twitter 10 years ago, I guarantee you are probably not on Twitter today because it's a different vibe. So, you know, our client, I'm even doing this for some of my clients, is if we don't have engagement and followers and likes and this and that, why are we continuing to put calendars together for a platform where there's no engagement? So it's looking at like, who do you want to talk to? And if it's just LinkedIn, then it's just LinkedIn. Like, that's fine. Like no one's judging you or you know, going to say, no, you have to be on all of them. Do we all want to be on TikTok? No. So my daughter can, but not me. So I just encourage you to look at the platforms and your engagement and let them go because they're not all right for everybody.
I thank you for saying that, Jennifer. Years ago, I was talking to somebody who does digital marketing and I said, I hate Twitter so much. Do I need to be on Twitter? And she said, no. And she said, are your people there? I said, I have no idea. Like, I can't even go into that room. You know, I have this visceral response. And she said, well, then don't do it. I was like, wait a minute, what? So exactly what you said. I think that's so great. I think that's so great. And it's an opportunity to check in with all of the things that you do on a regular basis. So your social media, your newsletters, if you're doing videos, however you do marketing, or any other kind of process that promotes your business, why not do a check-in annually and see, like, am I getting the results that I want? If I'm not, what can I let go of so that I can make space for something else? It all comes down to making the right choices, right? No matter what we're talking about, it all comes down to making the right choices. And you can all do that. We need to give it a little time to make sure that we are being thoughtful and we're being discerning, right? Okay, I'm gonna look in the chat. There's something else. So much, Diane says, so much has to do with who is your ideal client and where are they? Yes, yeah. So I'll share with you, it's interesting. I have a new group that I'm kicking off next week. And one of the things I asked them to do was their ideal client profile. And I got a little pushback on that. And they're all established business owners. So I'm like, I know you know who you work with, but like, let's go a little bit deeper. And somebody was like, ooh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And I said, I'm going to tell you a secret. I've been in business for almost 19 years now. Last year was the first year that I really nailed down in a comfortable, authentic, true, easy, joyful way was the first time I really said, oh, I got my ideal client profile. And I generated like 12 pages that helped me understand, like, this is who it is. These are the words they use. These are the pain points. And it really made a big difference. So yes, I'm validating what Diane said, like, yes, you really need to know who your person is. And it's also okay, like, sometimes it takes us a while to get to the thing that we know that we need to do. And the best way to deal with that is say, like, okay, I finally got there, or like, I'm not going to get there and it's not going to happen. So I'm going to let that go. Again, it comes down to choices. Yeah. All right. What else is in the chat here? Yeah, Diane, so getting that done, actually, it did give me freedom to finally have it done, and now the only thing I have to do is take a look at it once a year and say, like, do I still have this right? Am I still hearing these words when I talk to potential clients? Am I still helping them with the same issues, or have things grown and evolved, right? Okay. Other questions or comments? All right. So we have about 15 minutes. Maybe we have time to do one Zoom breakout. Belinda, what do you think? Let me make sure I say thank you all for your time and your attention. It is never lost on me that you could be spending this hour and a half doing a million other things. So thank you. I feel honored that you showed up to listen to this. I hope it feels valuable. I hope it feels helpful. And I appreciate you.
It was awesome. Thank you. Like everybody, right? Yeah, it's such a grounding experience, to think about goals and what works and what doesn't. And one of my favorite things that you talked about that I think a lot of people forget is what are you going to give up? Not in a bad way, but like what's you can only fill your day with so much. So what are you going to peel off?
Right.
I think that's really important. So thank you. Thank you. Yay. Okay. So we're ready to put on your virtual seatbelts because we're going to travel in time and space now and go into some breakout rooms.
Can I offer up a couple of prompts?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So here's what can happen in these rooms. First of all, anything can happen in this room. And then you're going to come back and we'll say goodbye. So it's going to be 10 minutes. So you can, especially if you know the other people in the room, if you want to share anything new that you're working on, if you want to introduce yourself, anything like that. If you don't know the people, like, of course, introduce yourselves. If you want to have a prompt that you talk through, I've got a couple that I thought of. One could be, what are you excited to accomplish this year? And do you have a goal that scares you a little bit already? Or do you need to find one? So, if you can use this time kind of sharing and saying your goals out loud, that's going to give you a little extra power as well. But of course, use this time as you guys see fit once you get into the room.
Cool. Here we go.
All right. Make the noise, Scarlett.
I forgot again. Sorry. Next time. I'll cue it up next time.
Okay,
Zzz.
okay, here we go.
Oh, man.
hurled back.
In. All right. Hopefully you guys had some nice chats, talked about some goals, got to know each other a little bit better. So thank you again for your time, for showing up, for sharing your comments, sharing your resources, sharing your goals, your questions. A reminder that our next meeting, let me just double check the date for February 17th. So it is going to be
The mystery topic.
The mystery topic. Well, you're going to know ahead of time, but it will be, so it'll be a topic of like the overall group's choosing. So it's going to be an awesome topic, and Belinda is going to deliver so much value. And I take so many notes of Belinda's things too, like, oh yeah, that's so cool. So okay.
Cool. All right, Lisa, did you capture the chat?
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay. I don't want anyone to miss out on your super cool, super duper.
My super, okay.
Well, what I want to say is super duper pooper scooper, but I probably shouldn't say that. But,
yeah, because it's not actually that.
yeah.
Hey, Belinda.
Yeah.
On one of my chats yesterday, I found out that chickens actually live for 15 or 16 years. Did you know that?
No, I did not. I thought they were more like, Lil, what do you think about that? Lil Sklenarek has chickens too. I thought it was like 7 years, 5, 7 years, 10 years. I don't know. That would be cool with me.
Yeah, I've heard long about 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe one, but I had a cat that lived to be 19. So maybe my chickens they are eating, like organic blueberries. So that's possible. Greg said, you're giving those to the chickens? I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, we either want to come back to the next life as one of Belinda's chickens, yes, or Christy's dog, or, something like that.
Or Lil's dog, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So thank you all. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next month or sooner.
Yay.
Thank you. Stay
Bye,
safe.
guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye.